Well, Cerebral leader. Yes, you guys know me well. So let's just call this disruption in sneakers. I think that's a more appropriate way to move forward. Thank you, Gips. Chuck, one day you could become a thought leader. Why aren't you wearing sneakers?
Sneakers?
Yeah.
Well, listen, wearing the right foot attire is important as a leader. And so
there you go, boots right there. Yeah, there you go.
As the case would be, very important. And it's the cerebral part we got to talk about. So,
all right, cool.
All right.
All right, well, I want to start off with a couple questions for everybody to answer, and then we're just going to take the discussion from there. Sound good?
Sounds good.
And we'll go in order. So, what is thought leadership in your context, your professional context?
So I'm actually, being from Texas, ladies first, as the case would be. So would it be all right if we start with Monique?
Sure.
Okay. Monique, all you.
Go ahead and moderate my panel.
Oh, good job there.
So my definition of thought leadership from a public relations perspective is really being the authority in your field. So building that credibility takes time, and you can utilize public relations to help get you there. But to me, it's really being the person that people go to for a resource. If they're looking for a story or they want to get information on what's really going on as far as trends or challenges in our industry, they come to you first. So building that thought leadership takes time. It takes being strategic. And it's something that I think we all should be really thinking about. And most people are so busy, they forget about it.
Good point. Mike?
All right, for me, for you guys don't know me, my name is Mike Saltijeral, combat veteran. Fought the cartels in the 90s, fought terrorism in the fought the cartels in the 80s, fought terrorism in the 90s.
Thank you for your service,
Thank
Mike.
you. And any veterans in the room?
Veterans in the room.
Thank you. So owning a company that's over 25 years in security, I realized as far as thoughtful leadership is how do you own a room? How do you engage, right? If you're in a boardroom with your team members, or even with a potential client, everything starts with the struggle. How do you embrace that struggle? You can't find struggle by reading a book. Struggle is your story, what you lived through. A real quick story, I was in a mission, and this mission, me and my team, it was the worst day of my life. It totally profoundly changed me, and it haunted me for years. But that same mission shared a birthday with the best day of my life because my son was born that day. So I had to learn how the best day of my life and the worst day of my life taught me embracing the struggle isn't an option. It's a biological necessity. So once you learn how to embrace that struggle and you turn your pain into purpose and you take your purpose to help others, inspire, protect, and teach.
Such a good point.
Yep.
The basis of storytelling, and I think when people, especially in the security industry, we all come from gov, right? We all come from public sector. We all learn the brief. Get the executives in the room, give them the briefing.
There you go.
And you get nothing. And the storytelling is what we need to leverage, and yet we're so insecure to show a little bit of vulnerability in front of the bosses that we never create that emotional connection and we never truly gain their trust. So great points. Chuck?
So I want to start out with a quote. When I researched and I was asked to do this, there's a lot of discussion that can take place. There's a lot of wisdom and experience, both good, bad, and indifferent, to impart. Let me start out with this. A cerebral leader brings calm when others bring chaos, and clarity when others bring noise. Could everybody agree on that? In a very big way. So what does that mean? So in my life and everything that I've done, you go to class, you learn something, you go to training, you get certification. We do it this way. This is best practice. This is ISO standard, whatever it is. In my life, and I learned very, very early because I started in the security law enforcement world as a 13-year-old as a law enforcement police explorer. That was the beginning of my exposure of our industry. one of the things that I really need to come into terms with is, what does it really mean? What does it mean to become this thought leader, cerebral thought leader? Yep. So I added one word to everything that I do in life, and I encourage you to use it. It's called context. Without context, there really is no meaning, right? It's the stuff in the middle that people won't acknowledge or can't appreciate or apply. So with that, what this means is that you need to invoke what you do with strategic thought. You need to do it with purposeful communication in everything you do. Be intentional. Measured credibility, and finally, titles don't make you a thought leader. It's your thinking that does. So I think we'll start there.
Okay, I like it. You know, I was recently doing a leadership development workshop with a Fortune 10 client. And it was their CSO and his direct team. And the topic for the 2 hours that I spent with them was, how do we garner influence, right? And so I said, look, I've heard it said that thought leadership is the ability to lead people down a logical path, to help them understand complex ideas more simply, and to basically start to win them to your line of thinking. Influence is when you're not in the room and people still follow your path.
As in, what would Chuck do?
Hey!
Exactly.
I love how you put yourself right up there with Jesus. Yeah. Good job.
Thank you, Tim.
Good job.
Love those tennis shoes.
There we go. So how do we take thought leadership, right? We've all discussed how we do it within our roles. How do we take that and create an impact? Go from thought leadership to influence within our jobs?
I think it's about being the resource, especially in your field, and having people reaching out to you in times of crisis, and really trying to get your feedback. And you know, you are influencing an industry, and I think it's so important to be somebody that people respect. And by being that resource, you're going to be building your brand for your business. So let's say you work for a particular security company and you are the resource in the industry. You can have multiple people from that company be a resource. It's not just one person. So I think it's important to kind of utilize everybody for their expertise and be the resource for what you know. Because we don't know everything. People tend to, claim they know everything. I'm a graphic designer, a security expert. But I think it's important when you're a thought leader to know what you're good at, know that I am the person that people come to for this particular topic, but you're not the thought leader on every single subject. So that's an important factor.
Good points. Good points. You kind of, you have to have a team around you, right?
Exactly.
You have to be able to defer and let other people shine.
Exactly.
Great points. Mike.
All right, so as you get older, you all experience your own stories. I truly believe you have to share your lessons learned. Be able to be vulnerable and share what hurts, right? Your scars. Innovate and mentor. So many people are looking for mentors, right? Mentor and be vulnerable when you're mentoring. What our company does, we create and innovate patented security products to protect our nation's critical infrastructure. But more importantly than that, we protect what's the most important asset to our nation is you guys, the people, and it'll always be the number one. What I do to help others, I talk to a lot of military people, business owners, young professions, and I teach them what it means to be in a churn, right? When chaos is around you, to stand up, right? Being a leader, and many years you'll be in the leadership, you're gonna have scars that get deep. It's almost like when you're in the military. You're gonna fall. And it's not about having the right answer all the time, it's showing up. But when you fall, it's not how much times you fall, it's how fast you get up, because the people around you love you, and need you to lead. So I implore all you guys, find your story, hit that struggle, because you all have it, and grow from that. And that's how you own the room, and that's how people listen.
You're dead on, Mike. And you listen, you and I had a conversation for about 4 or 5 hours in your
we did.
business 10 miles from here a few years ago. And I will tell all of you that what Mike is saying, he lives it. So exactly what he's purporting to you, he did with me in sharing those scars in his life, in his family, in his business, and your time in the United States Marine Corps is part of that.
And we had bottles of Maker's Mark, remember that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do.
I can do that. I need to address Tim and this Jesus thing, just so. So there's something we say in Texas, and Jesus set it aside for us, and that was God bless Texas. Anybody familiar with that? Yeah. This is a couple of singers like George Strait, some of these people go around and play guitar, right? Very famous people. So Tim, thank you for that. It's greatly appreciated. On that note, back to the topic at hand. So every time I have a conversation, do a deal, be involved in a project, it doesn't matter. I think the vulnerability part of that, making yourself vulnerable, is powerful as a Cerebral leader, and you need to do that. My conversations always begin and end this way of anything that I ever get involved in. And if you work for me or work with me or we built a company together, so first thing I say is, I don't know what I don't know. And as a real leader, you need to make yourself vulnerable. Not even with AI, not ChatGPT is not going to help you. You're still not going to know because you have no native, boots on the ground, tribal knowledge of what goes on in that company or in that organization, as the case would be. And number two, every time I do a business deal, the leadership piece of me comes down at the very end before we enter into negotiations on comp and what it's going to look like, expectations, deliverables. I always have a conversation to say, look, if this deal never happens, it's okay. And it's about the relationship. And that's what I built in the Friends of Chuck world with a couple 100,000 people, of which many of you are part of that world. It's okay. And I think as a thought leader, you have to expose yourself a little bit and actually those people, your credibility will go up 5 notches. That's been my experience.
By letting go a little bit.
Absolutely.
I like that. I think there's a lot of people in our industry that equate leadership with control. Mm-hmm. Leadership with my cause and effect, right? Basically, leadership with the old idea of a chain of command, which is very alive in the public sector for good reasons, but is generally worthless in the private sector. Credibility. How do we establish credibility? You talked about it first, you talked about it second. Monique, what do you think?
I think more people should be using public relations and basically writing thought leadership articles, coming out and, having your point of view and then having it published in a magazine like Security Journal Americas and having it out there for, hundreds of thousands of people to see it and having that visibility. I think it's second to none. You're not going to find that anywhere, in other mediums. I think public relations is a great tool for thought leadership.
Perfect. I always tell people, establishing your credibility within any environment is super important. Sometimes the harder you try, the more you discredit yourself, which is kind of ironic, right? And so I always tell people, if the people in the room know how you're going to show up, know how you're going to react, 2 things are going to happen. 1, you become less of a threat, less of a danger. 2, you're more apt to be invited into that room if how you're going to show up, react, and be involved with the group is predictable. So, Chuck, how can we in a good way create that predictable persona, that predictable engagement to kind of start building that trust gap? Because
To get to credibility,
because a lot of the organizations we serve don't necessarily trust security.
organically, maintenance, consistently, walk the walk and talk the talk. If you're going to promise somebody you're going to do something, deliver it. And I've built my entire world and my reputation on that. If you call me, you will get a phone call back, or an email, or a text, or a LinkedIn message, or a Facebook message, or Instagram, right? One way or another, you're going to hear back from me. That is hard work. The greatest failure, and I write this in my book, is maintenance. Doesn't matter if it's in a business, it doesn't matter if it's in your household, it doesn't matter what your domestic operating discipline is. Maintenance is the greatest failure. It's hard. It's hard. But if your clients know that you're there, you answer the phone, and you do what you say you're going to do, then you will build the credibility. I took 14 years organically to do it, and that's what I would tell you. Be consistent. And make sure you're looking at your maintenance program to make sure that you're actually doing all of those things, right? And they will call you, right? Like literally, I have 10 LinkedIn messages, Chuck, I need. Today, Chuck, I need. Today. Why do people come to me? Let me just, how many people in this room know who I am? Just from LinkedIn, raise your hand tall. Friends of Chuck, blah, blah, blah. How many of you, keep your hands up, if you actually called on me to say, hey, Chuck, how you doing? Did you need something? Chuck, what do you know about this, right? So there's your testimony. And that's what you need to do, and go out and do that in the world to build the credibility we're talking about.
And the most important thing about that is you're not stepping too far outside of your lane, trying to get involved in things that you don't have a business without the right partners, right? Sure. Bringing people together. I think that's one thing that a thought leader is put in a position to be able to do. You can stand up on your own in the limelight. You can draw a ton of attention to yourself, or you can pull everyone together and rally them around an idea, a cause, a common good. And that goes a long way to establishing that credibility and being invited into those rooms. Mike, you've talked about your struggle, right? You've talked about the story. I got a two-pronged question for you. You're looking at the people in this room, beautiful people, far better looking than I. They're dressed to the hilt, right? But look inside their souls. What is holding them back when faced with the opportunity to really create that trust, show who they are, invite decision makers into a part of their life or experience? And most of us will not cross that threshold. Why?
Okay. So in our company, we establish core values. And my dad taught me to grow without limits. And like military is another acronym, limits, leadership. But not only if I say leader, what does leader mean to me? But all my team has to echo the same thing. And then we post it on the wall. I go down the line and tell you what it all, but the last one, because you hit on it, is systems and soul. Soul is the heartbeat of any company. Soul is that we have to, when you walk away from someone, when you've been somewhere and you talk about it with your families, right? Wow, I just experienced this ultimate experience. That's when you hit the soul. The soul's the conscious inside you. But in order to hit the soul and what's wrong and what people need to do, they want to feel safe. Like Chuck's a lawman, if you knew Chuck, right? He dedicated his whole world to law. So when you're with Chuck, you feel safe because he knows how to look for that problem that's going to happen next door. But even at work, you have to deal with mental health, especially in this day and age. You know, we have kids checking out, right? So I go there and I preach. Someone asked me, where would I put if I had to put my success on one thing, what would it be? I said, it's my failure. And let me talk to you about it. Because without failure, you won't succeed. But more importantly, I want to resonate that to those young kids that are checking out because they got a bad grade, or they don't know how to talk to their parents. So we need to share, because that's when we share, people become safe. Every Monday morning, we have a scrimmage. I have 0 employees, I don't call them employees. I have 140 team members. They're my brothers and sisters. The military taught me that. But it's a check-in. That's all it is. For my C-suite, everybody, every team meets together just to check in. Check in, hey, how are you doing? We're here to protect against adversaries because we can see and know, anticipate what that crime is. But the real crime to our country and to our nation is mental health. And someone here can reach to that person and put that on the radar. So we really need to put more time on mental health. Feel safe.
Thank you. Monique, starting with you, any closing thought to leave the audience with?
I think some people feel insecure about sharing their opinions. You know, they might feel funny about it, but if the media is coming to you and people are coming to you, they want to hear your responses and they care what you have to say. So I think that's something that to be a little more secure in yourself and, you know, be the person that people want to come to for answers, and don't be afraid of it.
Mike?
No, so I implore all you guys, everybody here, go find your story.
Yep.
The best story, somebody asked me, what was my best story? I haven't even told it yet, but I'm excited about it. But your story, I'm more interested to listen to. And everybody who works for you, they're dying to hear your story. Connect, be real. You know, you can't have anybody else's story. You have the story. Just dig down deep, be vulnerable, and you'll see. That's when you start making human connection. What's relatable is universal. So thank you, God bless.
So we got 12 seconds. I'm going to tell you
You've
that-
got 12 seconds.
Oh, thanks, Tim.
I've got longer.
So, in the course of trying to wrap up what we're talking about here, building credibility and being a good thought leader, the weakest part is the maintenance piece of it. We're all terrible at it. It's hard, it's costly, right? So focus on taking that when you leave today and look at what needs to be done on a regular basis. Did you follow up with those phone calls? Did you go talk to your people, right? And the last part of it, I'm going to reemphasize what Mike said. Be vulnerable. Be a little vulnerable with your people, right? And you'll build that credibility and be that much better a thought leader in the industry.
Awesome. When I think about practical thought leadership, right, we're writing articles, we're doing videos, like all of this stuff. Not everybody's into that, but in our roles as security leaders within organizations or on behalf of clients, I find myself trying to understand how can I be the professional prophet? How can I tell them what's coming? Hey, I know you're doing this right now. Great. Here's what you can look to understand if it's going well. But this is also going to happen. You're going to begin to see these things. And when you start to see those things, you should start to think along these lines, take these actions, reconsider. And that is one way that I have found that you can be in a room, and while we're wrapping up the business at hand, you can also be letting them know what comes next, whether they agree with you or not. Because even if they don't agree with you, when those things start to come to pass, they'll be calling you back in the room.
Planting seeds.
Planting seeds.
Absolutely.
So. Oh, no walk-off music? Come on.
Thank you.